to another episode of Catch That. I am Naturally Elise, and that is my bro,
JR.
And today we are going to be talking to the lovely, lovely DJ Monday Blue.
Hi, Lisa Lamont. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yay. And just a little bit about her. DJ Monday Blue is a Brooklyn-based DJ, fluent in digital and vinyl with over 7 years experience spinning eclectic music that moves and inspires. She is the founder and resident DJ of Doyens of the Disc, a monthly vinyl party featuring all women DJs. And she flows easily in the digital realm, word to heart. However, her heart beats with vinyl, as you can see behind her. And you can catch her on, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about the things that she has going on and how you can find her. But now, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes.
So exciting. I got a Brooklyn Nat with me now. Like, this is great. This is great. This is so great. Oh my God. I'm a fan. So like, at least know I normally fan out. Like, of you. Yes, you.
Thank you. You know, I'm from North Carolina though.
You're from North Carolina, but you're in Brooklyn now. Yes.
Yeah, but I've been here. It's gonna be I've been in Brooklyn. It'll be 15 years. My goodness.
Oh, honey, you from the home. You from home. Nah, you home now.
It's been a long time. Yes. So,
This is your home. So this is so exciting. But you know, when we got you, and we was like, yo, we want to interview her, and it was like 3 choices you gave. You gave Patrice Rushen, you gave Denise Williams, and you gave Natalie Cole. So as a producer, as you being like a DJ and a producer and things like that, I was like, she's going to pick Patrice Rushen. I was like, she's going to pick that. I swear, I was like, she's going that way. And then when you came back, you was like, no, Natalie Cole. I said, oh yeah, she threw me for a loop because I would have never expected you to choose Natalie Cole. You know what I mean? So out of control, but I really didn't think you was gonna choose Natalie Cole. I even thought you was gonna pick Denise Williams before Natalie, but I was like, okay, I'm here for it. Let's go for it. Like, I'm here for it. So, what made you pick? Who was my late grandma, one of her favorite singers? What made you pick Natalie Cole and this unpredictable album?
Okay, wow, that's interesting. Okay, so it was hard. Okay. It was very challenging to narrow it down. Mm-hmm. I really love all of them, right? And I'm going to preface it by saying, like, you know, playing vinyl and, you know, you just go back and you listen to albums, right? Deeply in a way that you may not have connected or listened to them before, right? Because you go digging, you go to shops, like, okay, I know this track, but let me listen to the whole work. Yeah. And you can learn so much. There's so much good music. I feel like there's not going to be enough time to listen to and learn and really know all the great music that's been made. Let me just put that there. Mm-hmm. I do feel that those 3 women, Natalie Cole, Denise Williams, and Patrice Rushen, do not get their due.
Agreed.
And I'm thinking like that's a whole other thing. I'm thinking about a project related to that because I would definitely feel like their work and their catalogs need more shine than they get. So I'm prefacing that. Natalie Cole, I thought she was like, when I would look at album covers or like actually I guess cassettes, my mom had like a couple of cassettes and I would see photos of her. I was like, oh, she's so pretty. That's the first thing when I was younger or little. It's like, she's so pretty. And my mother, so my dad, when I would ride around with him, you know, around town doing errands, we would listen to music and there was a variety of things, right? My mother was different. She would either listen to like gospel, but like one of the secular artists she had was Natalie Cole.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
You know how like my mom was strictly like, she would just mostly be gospel. But then she had like Natalie Cole and then like I think like a Marvin Gaye something, right?
That was so my grandma. That was so her. That's why it bugs me out because my grandma was the same way. She's so gospel. And when it came to secular music, she had Natalie Cole. She loved her. You know what I mean? So for you to say that, I was like, oh my God, grandma, she hearing you. Yes.
But you get right, but it's a thing. Like it's actually a thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's one song that I would, listen to her music when I was around with my mother, and I just love her songs. I'm like, you'd be like, damn it. But then her slow songs, her ballads, they're just so touching. So this was very interesting. So when I was listening to this album, re-listening to it again, I'm not even gonna front, in modern parlance, I was like, okay, some people might say Natalie was singing some pick-me anthems. I don't know if you're familiar with the term pick-me, but that's a whole other conversation, right? I was like, oh, Natalie was on some but then I was like, you know what? How it's from a different era. It's from a different time, and she was actually being very vulnerable and talking to these people, men or whomever that she, had been in relationship with, and just expressing herself like, I'm catching hell, I miss you, where can you please come back because I can't take this. And I think there's something to be said for that. And I think that touches me in a way because I have difficulty being vulnerable in that way. And so to hear someone singing and opening up, there's part of me that's very much like that, but I keep it tucked away. But she's putting it all out there, and it's very raw and open. And then also the fact knowing that, and I'm not trying to be armchair diagnosis. I'm not a licensed therapist or counselor or social worker. I'm just going to put that caveat out there. However, I know that, she also had, she struggled with addiction, to drug addiction for a while.
Yep.
And it's like all these things converging. Okay. So having gone back and kind of, I remember like a couple of months ago, like during the pandemic, I was watching a lot more programming than usual, like televisions, documentaries and all streaming stuff, right? And there was one, I think, on Netflix about the crack epidemic and in the 80s. And knowing what I know now about how many of us adults, how many people carry trauma, we carry so many different kinds of trauma, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Whether acknowledged or unacknowledged. And then kind of looking at our history as Black people in America, right? Or coming as Black Americans, okay? And just doing my own healing work, there is so much trauma, right? There's beauty and joy, but there's a lot of trauma. And I think a lot of the creativity and the things that Black Americans have created and contribute to the culture come from that there's that impetus, right? Yeah. To try to work your way through it. And so to hear her be vulnerable, I was like, here's a woman who is very sensitive, listening to her music, very sensitive. For instance, on this album, her song, Perfect, I think it's called Perfect. I gotta wait, hold on. Peaceful Living, right? Natalie wrote that track.
We were gonna bring that up. So I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, this is a Black woman singing about this kind of utopia, and it's beautiful and lovely, right? So to me, I'm just hearing this vulnerability. I'm hearing sensitivity, and just knowing that she struggled with drug addiction. Well, that's not surprising to me, actually. And who knows what other trauma there could have been, or things that could have happened that pushed her that way. But it's hard. This world can be challenging and difficult for persons who are sensitive and empathetic and empathic. Yeah. So I think there's just that on a deep level, that's what I get from Natalie when I listen to her songs and how she's singing, and especially about love and relationships and her longing for the world to look a certain way, a different way than it actually does in reality most times.
Yeah. And think about another layer of her is of having a famous parent.
I was going
that's a whole.
And then she was famous from young herself.
Right.
Just as being so just put that all.
Yes. And then reading about, so I tried to watch the series Them, streaming on Amazon Prime, right? Which is kind of like one of those modern horror kinds of shows, but but centering around racism and Black people like in the 50s and 60s. But speaking of her parents being famous, her family faced that because they integrated previously all white neighborhood in Los Angeles. So can you know what I mean? So I can't even imagine. So your dad is famous, and then you're dealing with that, and then you know what I mean, and then you're trying to have your own singing career, and you're you know what I mean? I can all that to say, I can only imagine. I can only really imagine. So, and she creates this beautiful work, and if you really sit with it and listen to it, it's just like, oh, it's touching. So that's why I ended up picking it. Like, I love me some Patrice Rushen. Love Patrice. And Denise Williams too. Oh my goodness. But there's something about Natalie and that emotionality, and just the expression of it that really touched me,
I can totally understand, and now you're bringing something again, because I call myself an emotional listener. Like, I'm very sensitive. Elise knows that big time. Like, I'm very sensitive. So when I listen to Peaceful Living, and you know how you brought all of that up about her trauma, it made me also think about, she still wasn't over her dad, because if you guys know her, watch her, it was like a biopic that she did back in 2000. And she was like, during that time, she was never really over her dad. So when I was thinking about listening to this for the last couple of days, she was like a peaceful living. And I'm thinking she's not at peace with her father's death yet. She wanted to be at peace with that. Of course, she was in love with, Marvin, that she ended up marrying. And then dealing with all the trauma, like you said, as far as being addicted to drugs. She wanted a peaceful life. And then you can feel that vulnerability in that song. That's why, for me, that was my favorite song on the album. And I know me and Elise was kind of going back and forth in text. And she was like, oh my God, this song is so beautiful. And I was it is, because you can really feel her emotion on it. And I feel like with this album that you picked, The Unpredictable Record, is that she was being an artist. She was showing her artistry, because before then, she would write with them, but she would be a co-writer with them. Now, when it came to this album, they let, like, Peaceful Living is her. Yes. Nobody else is in there. So her being is in this song. So, and I was just thinking about her not being over her dad, but you brought it back. It's about dealing with, being famous, trying to gain your own independence, because everybody's looking at, this is Natalie Cole, Nat King Cole's daughter. So she's trying to get over that. Then finally she's having a career of her own. Then the drug addiction starts. Then the trauma before then. So it was just a lot of piled on. I was like, girl, you just hit that on there.
No, it's real. And she's also a woman in that music industry. And that's, another level, right? And it's been interesting, I think. Oh my goodness, making me think about the Tina documentary, watching that and talking about, what she'd been through, and, with the Aretha biopic series, and then the movies coming out. But just even reading her biography, it just, there's so much, there is so
go through in that industry. It is not nice at all. But then when you women are confident in who you are and not gonna let people tell you, then y'all get the B word. Then you're difficult. Then you're this. And it's like, but y'all want to take advantage of me. Y'all don't want me to speak up. You don't want me to do any of that. But when it comes to me, like, no, you're not going to do this to me. You're not going to take advantage of me. Oh, she's difficult to work with. Oh, she's not nice. Oh, she's this. And it's sad. You know what I mean? That industry is dirty anyway, but I know to know, you know what I mean? But when y'all going through as women, you know what I mean? Like, you see a lot of women tell these stories, like what Shaka had to deal with, what Aretha had to deal with, what all these women go through. You know what I mean? And it's just so sad. Like, that's why we must protect our Black women. I always say it, and I always stand by it. We have to protect Black women, because y'all are not being protected out here, and it's not right. You know what I mean? And a lot of us as mamas that we have to understand our mothers are Black women. So if you don't want somebody to treat your mama like that, why would you treat another Black woman like that? So, you know what I mean? So again, protect our Black women, people, really, really.
Honestly, it made me also think about, for some reason I was listening to it, I kept thinking about Megan Thee Stallion. And kind of that situation that she went through, you know, being shot in the feet by Tory Lanez or what have you. And like people not believing her and her being vulnerable and crying on her Instagram live. And then even watching her at the Grammys this year, she's tearing up. You know, people, her mother and her grandmother, people she was close to have made their transition, and she's just out here, you know, again, making her music and telling her story, right? Expressing herself and running into some of those same roadblocks. And it's like, man, you know, but it's interesting that the music doesn't necessarily reflect that vulnerability anymore. It's been a big shift. You know what I mean? Clearly, it's not just women, it's the whole industry. But I was just also thinking about just the content. Like, you know, again, you said you're a sensitive listener, you're an emotional listener. Right? And I know that some people don't pay attention to lyrics, but I've always been very much into lyrical content. And it just also strikes me, you know, in 40-something years, how the way many artists that are currently out discuss relationships, especially in mainstream music, is nothing like, it's such a departure from what we hear on Unpredictable.
Yes.
And I just wonder what that means, how, you know, people who are being reared or who are coming up with the sounds and the content that are prevalent now. In mainstream, again, there's many artists that are independent, not mainstream, who are making vulnerable, you know, making all kinds of music, great music. But the kids who aren't listening to mainstream, Natalie Cole was mainstream when I was growing up.
Yes.
Right. You know, when I was young. So I'm not a get off my lawn kind of person. You know, like, get off my lawn. That's not me. But I wonder though. I wonder what is that going to look like for kids who are little now? Like, what are the ramifications, right? I can touch back to Natalie Cole and, you know what I mean, and so many other artists, but what are their touchstones going to be? You know, I wonder.
And I think a lot of it, as much as a huge hip hop fan as I am, I think that era ushered in a lot of that. I have to be hard. You can't see what my emotions, especially with men, like I can't be vulnerable. I can't, you know, you're not gonna call me soft. I ain't no punk. I'm not, you know, and then you throw in all the homophobia that's on top of that. And so I think that ushered in a lot of that. And I mean, in my, like I always say, I say this a many times, music doesn't exist in a vacuum. So it also reflects what the society looks like. You know, that music doesn't come from nowhere. So it's kind of a reflection of the changing attitudes, the cynicism, the me, you know, so.
I agree with her. I totally agree with that, because it's like we're not able to be vulnerable anymore, because now everybody wants to, since hip hop is so big, it like took over, because R&B, y'all, back in the 90s, because it seems like this is what everybody goes back to, the 90s, men didn't mind saying, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I want to be with you. I'm going to sing out in the rain for you. Like, we don't have that no more. Now the dudes that want to be singers are now acting like rappers. And it's like they're showing no vulnerability anymore. Like, I love how it seems like it passes my timeline like at least twice a month, where they have a picture of all these people, all these dudes that used to sing in the rain in the music video. And you see all the rain and they singing, and when are we gonna get this again? Like, when are we gonna get when these guys are not scared to be like, I want you back. I'll do anything. Like, be on some Keith Sweat begging. You know what I mean? Like, when are we gonna get something like that? It's like now dudes is like, nah, you ain't gonna see. I'll keep that inside my house. I'm gonna be vulnerable inside my house. You know what I mean? Rather than out there. And I'm like, this is what what made us love our artists, because we were able to find that they were vulnerable. Like you said,
we could relate.
Natalie Cole, and
be like, I'm sad sometimes. I fall in love. I this. You're like, I can relate to that because I'm also an emotional listener, and I'm also very, very lyrical about lyrics. So I'm looking for something I can plug into and be like, this is okay. I know this experience, or I've seen that experience. It makes sense. Okay. Oh, I connect to this,
Right.
Exactly. You're talking about men being vulnerable. Now, I always think about now, like Teddy Pendergrass, because he was not macho, but he was like like all the ladies wanted him.
Yeah, like a virile, very.
Yes, virile.
Yes.
But he gonna scream at you now to show his manhood. He gonna be like, turn him off. Like he gonna scream at you now. You know what I mean? But he was still vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like we need that. Like we really need.
Oh my goodness, that's why I love he was still with Harold Velvet and Blue Notes, but their version of "Don't Leave Me This Way," and he's like just begging, like that version does something to me. It sends me. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
But that is missing. But okay, so then with Natalie being vulnerable, the other thing, like the album's called Unpredictable.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I really liked about it. That's my Gemini showing, my Gemini sun, is that she has different styles and moods on the album, right?
Yeah.
She's giving you gospel flavor. There's like a little rock funk, kind of vibe to it. She gives you a little disco.
Yeah.
And then she's giving you like, just some cabaret kind of, supper club vibes. I think that's like she's showing her range. That's why I think, again, I don't feel that the work of like women like Natalie Cole from that era, I don't know that they get again, they were very versatile. They were like artists and creating and taking risks, and not staying in one lane, you know what I mean? And trying different things out. And I always appreciate that. That can be scary because you're like, what if I've had success doing these kinds of sounds or making these kinds of songs. What if people don't accept me? What if they don't want to buy it? So taking risks and trying different things. I think that's awesome. Yeah. And I like that about this album as well.
Yeah. And one thing I was telling JR on the same page with you is not only was she doing all these different styles, she sounded completely comfortable on this whole album. None of it feels forced. I feel it's a great sequencing also.
Yes. Yes.
So you get all these different flavors, but they all come together in a very special way. So
I feel like with Chuck Jackson and Marvin Yancey, for me, I felt like this album to me is when they were in their pocket with Natalie. I felt like it was those three, because the first album, it was like, all right, we're getting together, we're learning each other, we're giving you the songs. Then the second album, the Natalie album, which that one is Sophisticated Lady and Mr. Melody. And it's like, okay, you can write a little bit. Yeah, give me the shimmy. Okay.
I know. I was like, when I think, hey, Mr. Melody,
give him the shoulders.
Right. So she's giving you a little bit of her on there. And I feel like by this time, the third album, they know each other. They know how each other work. And you can hear the comfortability on this album. Like literally, you can hear, how comfortable she is on a song like This Hard. Because y'all know she comes from a gospel background. You know what I mean? So, and then she's having one thing about Natalie that I love too, her background vocalists do not get the respect that they deserve either. Because them girls sing background down, and they showed it on This Hard. Because that gospel kind of fit, it was like, whoa. And you hear Natalie is like, thank God. I was like, Natalie, what? I was like, where's my prayer cloth? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? Wow. Like, when you picked this album and Elise told me and her went back and listened to it, we was like, this album is so dope. Like, we haven't listened to it in a while. So when you brought it there, and I was just like, what I haven't listened to this album in so long, and it just felt so comfortable. Natalie felt so comfortable. You can tell Chuck and Marvin knew what to do with her, what sound to give her. They knew that she came from a jazz background, and they let Natalie be jazzy when she wanted to. They let her be the R&B that we loved her for. You know what I mean? They knew that she's a gospel girl, so they let her be that. It was all different sounds in it, and that's why I actually, this is my second favorite, honestly, after Inseparable. I just talked mess about Inseparable, then I'm gonna say it's my favorite, right? But
okay, yeah,
sound about right.
No, I feel you.
Yeah. So, but this album to me is the best. I feel like they were in their pocket, and Natalie was the artist that she wanted to be, and it was just an amazing body of work. So for y'all to say it had the different styles, the gospel, the rock, the jazz, the all that, but then she gives us I Got Love on My Mind, which I think that's the only song that everybody goes to this album for.
Yes.
Because nobody really talks about any other songs. Like when you said Peaceful Living, I was like, come on, Monday Blue. Yes, talk about these album cuts. That's what we about. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we about. So when you said it, it was just like, yes, because people will be like, the first thing, I Got Love on My Mind. Then you'll be like, well, what's up? What other songs do you like on it? Our Love. No, that's on the next one. You know what I mean? You telling on yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, y'all, just know I can go in on people that don't think they know music, right?
Yeah. So here you go. So what's your favorite song on the album?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Peaceful Living is amazing. It's beautiful. Party Like She's a Bop, you know, because I like the, shoulders. It's got to twirl, you get your twirl on, like,
twirl. Yeah, me and Monday Blue do love us a twirl, so
I do love a twirl. I have to say, like, I listen to a lot of Quiet Storm radio, especially growing up, like, tween age years through my teen years, especially. And I'm Catching Hell. You'd hear that a lot. Now that's a very grown song, right? Like, what is a 12 and 13 year old? What do you know about I'm Catching Hell? Yeah. But
that's mine.
I appreciate it because that gives me almost like blues, like a blues vibe tease to it. You know what I mean?
It's like a bluesy, gospel-y feel.
Yes, which is the blues and gospel,
right.
They're like that. And I do like also Still in Love too. I like a good rock fusion. You know what I mean? I like rock music too. I love when Black people do rock because people seem to think that Black people didn't also create that genre and don't make rock music, which is a whole other thing. So those are some of my favorites, but I think it's a really great work altogether. Like it worked, like Lisa, the sequencing, how it is, but it just works great together. It's a great piece of work, and it went platinum, and that's another thing too. It went platinum, and only with, I guess, technically the one single. I think they also released Party Lights as a single, but I Got Love on My Mind was the big seller. Right. But the whole album went platinum. And then, as a kid saying, well, what did your album do? Triple wood? Like, since people like to use album sales as a metric of whatever now.
Yeah.
I'm not really I'm never into album sales as a metric of, whether it's a good work or whatever.
Yeah. Sales and charts don't tell the whole story.
No, they absolutely.
They're part of the story. They are part of it, but it's not, it's about content.
Right, exactly. It's absolutely not the whole story. So I just like it as a work. I think it's great. Like JD said, like they were in the pocket, and all, like when the synergy, like you said, when you gel together and you got your flow going. Yeah. And I think that is beautiful. I love it. So I want more people to listen. My friend's like, do you have any modern records? I'm like, yes, I have modern records, and I play modern records. But but there is so much. Like again, as I said, there's so much good music, and there's so many talented artists and songwriters and musicians and arrangers. So I could live really in the 70s and 80s, probably a little bit in the 90s, but I could live in the 70s and 80s probably and be like perfectly fine. But again, there's so many other things I love too. Well, that's a whole other conversation as well.
You know, I have one problem with this album. One. And Elise knows the problem.
What's the problem? What's the problem?
Your Eyes cuts off. It's too short. I'm so mad.
It sounds unfinished.
It's like it's not done because I'm like, why is it fading out right now?
Yeah, because it's not. Because it's a good song, and then it's abrupt. Like,
okay, that's true. I didn't. Okay, yes, I hear it. Yes.
And I'm like, why? This is such a beautiful song, and I'm like, this is another song that she wrote. So I'm like, why is it only 2 minutes? I was like, come on, give me another 15, 20 seconds. That
is interesting. I do wonder what happened. Was somebody in there get off the, they fighting over the control board? There was a tussle, and it was like, we're gonna print it like this. No, we're gonna press it.
Yeah. Oh my God, because today I was at work today, and I had it in my ears, and I just hit repeat, and I had it on repeat for an hour. That's how much I love this record. I love it, but I'm like, and then the harmonies that she does with it, and it just takes me somewhere, and then it just stops. Like Elise said in one of our other videos, we talking about Voodoo, and it stops. You
know what? Yeah, that's a good action. Okay, wow. I didn't realize that, but you're right. I'm thinking about that now too on that album.
And
I'm very curious about what happened with that. It is abrupt.
It's so abrupt.
Luckily, it's a great song. So this album, me and JR talk about what are perfect albums to us, to where we love every song, and this is a perfect album for me because I love every single song.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was gonna say that too. That this is a song that you could put on whenever you're doing your cleaning. You could just put it on and you can just rock the whole thing, and you get all your mopping done, and then the dusting, and probably get your laundry sorted too, because you're gonna get, you know what I mean? Because it's you don't have to go back and be like, wait a minute. Sometimes you're like, okay, wait, no. But this, you just let it flow, so you be like, it is a real, and I thought the same. Oh my goodness, I thought the same thing. It's this is just such a good album. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so good. And this is the thing. I remember growing up. Right, my brother, he's 14 years older than me, so he would play records. Right, when he would watch me or whatever. But he was more. He didn't play. I realized in retrospect, he didn't play a lot of women artists. It was all Rick James. Cameo, great music, but he wasn't giving me, he wasn't giving me peaceful living. It wasn't that.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? So it's nice to go back and just artists you, I know I like this artist, so let me get this album and listen to it. And it's so nice to be surprised. You'd be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing work. You know what I mean? This is an amazing piece of work. It's a beautiful piece of artistry. You know what I mean? And I want more people to go back and listen to this. Yes. So that's also another reason why I wanted to pick that too. Again, I want people to know, I feel is there an underground society where people are, I don't know, talk, not Fight Club, but Record Club. I think this is great when you all doing deep dives into albums and really getting into it and discussing all the context and layers about the music. But is there an underground network I don't know about where
girl, I wish I could find out too. You know what
I mean?
We right here.
Yeah.
I mean, this we're doing, it's beautiful and it's amazing. So thank you all for doing this work. It's beautiful and I love it. Yeah. So it's much needed.
Yeah. And you brought up bodies of work, and one thing that we talked to Zoe in both of our interviews with him is about bodies of work, and Zoe would probably fuss at us for complaining about the song being 2 minutes because we had we went on him on why he had a song that was less than 2 minutes, and he was like, that's what told the story. So maybe that is the story behind it.
That's it. She's like, oh, that's it.
She said what she had to say, and
it was done.
That should be fair. I can see that too.
And we just being nitpicky at this point.
I understand, but I get that. So maybe that was the statement. This is what exactly. Maybe that was it too.
And Zoe got a little. He got a little shot at us. He was like, "You can just press repeat." I was like, "Oh."
We was like, "Whoop."
You're like, "Oh."
Well, all righty.
I was like, okay. And I could see Natalie giving that a little bit too. God bless her soul. I can see her give, like, baby, you can hit, repeat, baby. It's okay. Like, I can see her giving a little sad, and I'm like, Natalie, I love this song. Well, you can repeat it, baby. It's all right.
Exactly. It'd be like a bookie bookie boo. Okay.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Oh, man. So
Yeah.
what you wanted to
No,
so
you
what do you think about as far as other Natalie albums, as far as you love, did you love Inseparable? Did you love,
Natalie is my other jam. I feel like Natalie is my other jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Natalie as well, too. And honestly, like, okay. So now sitting here, right, and thinking about, I don't hate Pink Cadillac as a single. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's interesting when you have these artists and they're, keeping up with the times or trying to evolve their sounds to go with where the industry was. I love it in a pink. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at her for that single as well, right? And I get it, and I can see it in different lists and appreciate it in a different way than when it was first, released. But although I did like it too, but I just knowing the history and learning more, about the artist and getting into the music, you're like, well, I get it. People are like, we try to eat out here.
That's what Elise said.
You're like, I'm in the Pink Cadillac.
I mentioned that recently about like a lot of the like legend stars like in the 80s that they were, kind of, but I was like, but they had to eat. They had families. They had bad contracts in the 70s. They had to live. And that's the only thing they know how to do is sing and perform. That's their life. That's been their livelihood their whole lives. So it's like, gotta do what I gotta do.
And that was also during the time when Natalie was coming back. Because remember, after, I think, what was it, like 79 or 80, when her music started to die. And then she was deep into her addiction. So then then the label dropped her, and then nobody wanted to sign her. And she really had to go on like doing Chitlin Circuit type of stuff. And she was like, I'm Natalie Cole. This is the first time she like, King Cole was my daddy. Like, y'all making me go back here. You know what I mean? So
that's when you know who I am?
Yes. Do you know me? Like, my father built Capitol Records. Like, and y'all got me doing Chitlin Circus, and it was like people really, and she had to grind. So when she did that Everlasting project, which is with Pink Cadillac and all that on it was like her way back in. You know what I mean? She brought her way back in, and that's when I love when she got the NAACP back in, I think it was 88. She didn't think she was gonna win because she like, okay, I'm back. Pink Cadillac is a little crossover, but my people has always supported me. And she was like, wow, when she won, she was like, wow, my people really support me. Like, y'all really behind me, because y'all don't know, it was years. It took me years to get back to this point because the industry wasn't really rocking with me. I had, nobody wanted to sign me. People, she was just like, it was a mess. So for her to win off that, but then again, she got back to what she wanted, and then she did Unforgettable, which is the album that she wanted to do. You know what I mean? And the album you've been wanting to do, and you did it, and it was a big success. I think that was her success story. That was her testimony, if you will. You know what I mean? For going through all that, having the label drop you, then she went to rehab and dealt with all of that, and then got back into the graces of the industry, and then finally doing an album that I think everybody wanted to hear from her for years, to do something with her dad, and to do something monumental like that nobody ever did before, and for it to be a big success.
And I think that's where she found her peace with the death of her dad. It came back full circle. Yeah. It was her peaceful living full circle moment.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's, whoa.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it just,
because in her last days, the end of her life, like when you would see her public appearances, she was at peace, and she was open about her story. She was very vulnerable about it, and I guess that's another full circle. She kind of always kept that vulnerability.
Yeah.
And,
So.
And she
that's true. Oh my goodness.
Because she never she never wanted people to know that she was Nat King Cole's daughter. That's why she used to do Jefferson Airplane back then and a lot of that rock stuff back then. And it was like, girl, like, you're Nat King Cole. Like, we know you got this R&B in you. Like, just do it. And she like, I did it. I created my own lane, but y'all still, like, in articles, they would be like, Nat King Cole's daughter. And she like, I got 3 platinum albums and y'all still doing this to me? Like, I don't have no peace, like you said. And once she went to rehab and really got peace that her father was gone, because she said she did back in 78, she did a special. And that was with Earth, Wind and Fire. And I think Johnny Mathis was on there, or Peebo Bryson, one of them was on there. And she did Mona Lisa by her father. And she sat there and she sung it. And she said, for the special, thank God it wasn't live, because she cried for 5 minutes after there because she never did her father's song before. And she said right then and there, she knew that she wasn't over her father's death because she couldn't even get through it. And she said for 5 minutes, she sat there and cried. So if any of y'all go back to that 1978 special and watch her do Mona Lisa, she bawls. And you could tell there's a cut, and then she's back to, hosting the show because she couldn't handle it. And then that increased the drug issue. You know what I mean? So that increased it. So then that, and then it's just, like y'all said, that peaceful living, she wanted peace. That's the life she wanted. And I think after Unforgettable, she found it. It was like, I can do songs with my dad. I can do that. I got my head on straight. I went through rehab. I've done all this. And I have a beautiful testimony because everybody loving this body of work and accepting this story. And she was like, I love jazz, and that's where I'm going to stay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, before then, it was like, you're forced to do R&B. You're forced. They're forcing her. This is what you got to do. You got to do. Because even though, like y'all said, she did the R&B stuff, but on that album, you still hear the jazz. You still hear jazz type of records. When she did the Natalie Live, she did a lot of, jazz covers on there. So it was like she finally found her peace and did what she wanted. And like Elise said, until the end of her life, you saw the peace in her. I'm telling my story. I'm vulnerable. I'm doing this. And it was just a beautiful thing. But that, peaceful living is where we actually first see her vulnerability. It was like, whoa. Like, she really wants this life and she don't have it. And you think these celebrities are huge and they got the money and they got this and they're not happy. But you hear it in their music like, damn, like when I hear it, I'm like, Natalie wants this life. Like, and she don't have it. And then to know she wrote it, it was like, yeah, you're telling your story in that song. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Did I get all deep? I'm sorry.
No, it's great. It's good. That's beautiful. I mean, and I think that's, oh man. Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, even watching Tina's documentary, like I'm just thinking of different artists where you're learning more. Like now, it's like at the end of someone's life or after they've made their transition, right?
Yeah.
And then you can go back and kind of see the arc, or maybe if they're fortunate enough to kind of be able to do it and like Tina and say it in their own words, right? Mm-hmm. With Aretha passing and kind of like, putting more about like her whole art of her life together and how the music interacts with that. I mean, it's kind of wild and mind blowing, but it's very human. It's a very human of her, of us. And there's a lot to be learned, not just from the music again, but like we said, searching for peace and how many people search for that. And also I think it's interesting. I don't know if I want to say it's an indictment on the music industry, if I want to call it that, but it definitely speaks to how challenging it is to make it through some systems intact, right? Yeah. It's very challenging to go through some systems intact. I know, like, for instance, sidebar, I know I have had friends and acquaintances who like worked in certain fields like academia, And like Black women I know who've gone through that process to get their PhDs, and that system is very challenging, especially, you know, for people in that body, you know what I mean, who present as a Black woman, to get through that process. And it's hard, and it leaves scars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
Same
does.
thing like Natalie, like you said, she had to go to rehab, and then she had to get her way back into the industry, and then she had to make that one album before she could do what she really wanted to do. Right. I mean, I really think there's a stories about, and I think it's very interesting because, you know, what's been going on since last year with the pandemic, and I think there's more mainstream discussion about how these systems impact our lives on so many levels. You know what I mean? Not just, you know, financially, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You know what I mean? And trying to recognize them. And it's beautiful when someone can triumph over them, but my goodness.
And a lot of those systems in this time are getting exposed because people had time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
They
have time today.
Yeah.
You know,
yes, we had a lot of time. Yes, exactly. You have had a lot of time, and I think that's good though, right? I mean,
oh yeah, of course.
Pull back the veil and pull back the bandage. You see, like the infection, right? Exactly. It's all exposed and out there. But it's like, what do you do with that? So I think I do think it says a lot about the music industry, the entertainment industry. It does, and how it functions. And it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people. It's hard. I understand. You know, Prince Rogers Nelson. He makes so. I mean, you know, he was a genius, and you know, my goodness. But just when he went through his whole, when he was speaking out against the industry, had slave written on his face, and why he changed his name, people thought like, oh, what's going on with him? But it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense now. Like, you know what I mean?
And then they're having a lot of rappers now come out and say, Prince, talk to them about this. Because a lot of them was like, yo, I want to work with Prince. And Prince was like, I'm not working with you until you own your stuff. Because if you don't own your stuff, then I have to deal with the label. And I'm not trying to deal with them. Y'all see, when I put slave on my face, I didn't want to deal with that. Like, so get your own stuff, and then I work with you. So many rappers, Nas then came out and said it. You know, DMX before he said he was in the club for an hour, loud music, and Prince came over to him and told him about how to get your masters, what he needs to do. So it's just like, wow, that industry. And like he said, I've done all the music, but you still own me? Like, I'm playing all the instruments, I'm singing the songs, I'm doing all of this, and you gonna own my stuff? How fair is that? Like, I'm getting a percentage off the stuff I made, but you're getting a larger piece of the pie than I am? How does that make any sense? Like, I'm like confused. So it's just like, now I think with him doing that, that was a big moment in music, because now, but it also, in my opinion, and I always say this, I felt like it hurt it, because I feel like now with music, now people come into it more of the business than the art. You know what I mean? It's like now they got these artists are coming in like, I got to make sure my business right before I do anything. So then when the business is right, then it's like, okay, I know ain't nobody gonna rob me, so I can make any type of music that I want to. You know what I mean? And it kind of music fails a little bit. Just my opinion. I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I felt like once Prince did that, it kind of changed a little bit, because it's now focused more on your business than you do on the music. You know what I mean? Or maybe I could be wrong. I don't, you know.
I see what you're saying. I think with Prince, what was interesting about him, though, not only did he focus on his ownership, but he still had an amazing, clearly we're finding out, he still had an amazing creative output. But it just, maybe the cultural zeitgeist had changed or moved in a different way. Yeah. But he still was constantly making content, and also still nurturing new talent. So I think he might have been an anomaly. But I think maybe what other people, so I think he was doing both. He was like focused on his business, but he still was very much
an artist. Yeah.
Artist, and making his creative work, and there to varying degrees of commercial success. Yeah. But as an artist, he never quit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm not sure that people, I see what you're saying, but I think also this is the other thing too that's interesting about the current climate, is that it's like, since I'm making sure the business is right, so then I just got to make sure that the brand is going to be able to get me a clothing line or, you know, some kind of other product.
Yeah.
That I can, you know, sell or market or what have you. And so I think that can be very challenging. Like, what if you just really want to focus on making music? Right. But I think that now it's like, well, that's maybe not going to get me the same amount of money that I would like to have or need to have for whatever aim. So I'm going to also, you know, I'm going to have a diet pill or this line of clothing or what have you. Like, right. I think about too, like that. So it's weird. It's like, again, I think we're talking about systems. It just comes down to systems, how they function and how people are trying to maneuver within them. I think about Rihanna too. Like, Rihanna's not going to make any more music. She's not, why would she? Why would she make any more? Why would she tour? Why would she do that? Right. Because the products, you know, her makeup line and with the lingerie line, why would she do that and deal with that industry? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And not saying that she was an artist and committed to her art, but maybe it's kind of what the impetus is for your creation, what your long-term aims are, or what have you. So, and I can't speak on that for anyone, but I'm just looking at that. So it just and
it also shifted because I mean, people don't buy albums anymore.
That's true too.
You know, and in the digital space, you know, they might buy your single, but people aren't really buying albums like that. So, and you know, and a lot of artists are just tired of touring. It's hard. Yeah. It's a hard life. So it's a lot, like I said, it's not in a vacuum. It's a lot of different factors that go into that. Yeah. And I do think part of it is, it's business first, but it's like 10 other things that it is too.
That's true.
Yeah. And also look what happens when the industry shuts down, like with COVID.
They ain't had no choice. They couldn't tour.
They couldn't.
They were scrambling. So everybody was scrambling.
So what do you do then? You know, so it's a whole.
Yeah, y'all right. It's a lot of elements to this.
It's a lot, right? Like,
it's a whole ecosystem. Everything.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes. This got dope. Okay. We went somewhere. I love it. So now we're gonna. This is always my favorite part is our word/song association.
Okay.
And I'm gonna name 5 different amazing female artists from the 70s, and you can either tell me the first song or memory or whatever that comes to you when I say that person's name.
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. All right. We are going to start with Minnie Riperton.
Oh, just ethereal. Lightness. Ethereal, and she has great songs and many that people know are popular, but I just think of her more as an energy and a presence. That's what comes to mind when I think of Minnie Riperton. Angelic a little bit. Her voice to me is a little angelic, or what I imagine. Maybe angel sound like. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I met an angel in person, it would.
She would sound like that. They were like, yes. And if I think about songs, really, I mean, they're great deep cuts, but I think the first memory I have her is hearing Memory Lane, and that song is like, yeah.
Talk about vulnerability, right?
Oh, right in the feels.
Just punch me in the chest. All right.
Yes. Right. Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Roberta Flack.
North Carolina. Afro Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm thinking also what this comes up.
Take all the time you need, girl.
My first memory of her is really hearing her with Donny Hathaway. I think that's probably one of the first songs, how I heard her first. And she has an amazing catalog. Also, pianist, amazing pianist.
Yeah.
But I just think of her voice melding with Donny Hathaway and that soulfulness and that interplay together.
Yeah.
Where's the love? But yeah, that's Roberta Flack for me.
Yes. All right. Betty Wright.
I think grown people's music. The first song I heard by Betty Wright, again, this is all from Quiet Storm Radio. Those are going to be my first impressions, because that's what my earliest memories. Tonight is the night. My goodness, and I remember like, being young. Tonight, I'm like, oh,
I know you're not gonna sing that song.
right. That ran on Quiet Storm all the time. I'd be like, like I'm, you're like 10, 11, like I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, but it's like that song is very compelling. And her talking and having a conversation,
yes,
and things very familiar. You know what I mean? Like grown folks at the family reunion when they sit around outside drinking little brown liquor.
Come on with the brown, yes,
and smoking. This man already smoked cigarettes, okay? And they sit outside talking like, wait, this grown, what are you doing here? This grown folks talking. Go back on there. So that's when I think of Betty Wright. That's what I think of.
Yeah. Okay. And one thing I said about Quiet Storm Radio and just kind of radio around that time, like Tonight is the Night, they would play the whole thing.
Yep.
Yes.
Like the
1 and 2. Yep.
And it's so many songs like that to where they might be 7, 8 minutes. Like they would play a 7 or 8 minute song on the radio.
Yes, which is actually tricky though. Because that's the whole it's a whole vibe. It's a whole mood. It's a movement. You gotta get into the whole thing. But yes, and I love that. I love Quiet Storm Radio. I love it. Love it. And
then the 70s, they're gonna give you a long song. Anytime we play 70s, have like 70s or disco show for our radio show, we either got to cut the songs or play like 15 songs instead of 22.
Yes.
Exactly. No, exactly. You're like, well, if I'm trying to get this,
So you listen to it, you're like, I don't know where I want to cut it. Like this, like I like the whole song.
See?
Yeah.
Like Your Eyes. Like Daddy was like, oh, okay. But anyway, see, like where am I going? Okay.
She bring up trauma, JR. All right, Shaka Khan.
Oh my God, Shaka. Ooh. Shaka. Oh, I just think like she's just what you wanted to be like. That was like when you see that, you're like, I want to be like that. That energy, the hair, the voice, singing, freedom. Shaka was very free to me. Like I think I didn't conceptualize it as that per se growing up, but like when I first saw her, but I think now like that's probably what resonated with me. This is a woman, she's singing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Hollywood gets me. That's one of the first songs I remember like really listening to it, and I think that's what getting into lyrics. Again, Quiet Storm Radio, and it's such a great story. It's sad, like it's a poignant kind of sad story, but it's the way she sings it so beautifully. I mean, but Shaka had her catalog. I mean, we could just talk about all her different songs, but that's like the first one I remember hearing. I'm thinking really about Quiet Storm. Like, so that's when the first Shaka songs were. I was like, oh, it's amazing. But there's so many other favorites, but I'll leave it there.
All right. Last one, and I kind of saved this one for last. Donna Summer.
Oh my God. Well, first, okay. Donna she's just beautiful. She is just beautiful, just gorgeous. And so it's also very interesting that I think, reading about her history, how she was conflicted with performing the way she was because of her religious practice or beliefs. Mm-hmm. So I found that contrast very interesting. That duality where you're singing this music and you have this voice and it's very sensual, very sexy. You know what I mean? But also holding some of that back. Like I'm not going to give you the full, where Shaka was giving you everything. Yeah. Donna, she's giving it to you, but that she's probably she's probably holding some even more. She's giving you her voice, but she's not giving you all of her because there's something she's like, I can't give you the full, like, and she's giving you a lot. So can you imagine she'd been like, you know? Yeah. Yes. Okay. But songs, oh my goodness. Okay. Really my jam. Spring Affair is my jam. I love Spring Affair.
Ooh. You better.
It's my jam.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of my. I mean, she has some great ones too. You know what I mean? Like her. I mean, of course, everybody knows her. But the Spring Affair, I love that.
I love it on what she did on the live album too, or More and More. I love how her and her background vocals did that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. She has an amazing. Oh yes, damn it, yes. Now you make me want. I gotta play records now. Please, now I have to go play some records. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, because the way you spin it, just it kind of gives me the essence of all these women. But I was like, I always feel like a Donna Summer and like spin twirly, like
yes,
I dance hard. Because listen, every party of yours I've gone to, like I dance hard.
Oh,
like it's
I be loving her Twitch. I love it. Follow your bliss with Monday Blue. Yes. I'll be watching you, yo. Like on Twitch.
You in there lurking? You not in the chat? You know I you out.
Like I must tell you, I wish now I can tell you now that I'm facing when you did your Mary Wilson one.
Oh yes.
Oh my God! Because Mary Wilson is a big reason why I fell in love with this because my mom loves Motown. So my first book that I read was Mary Wilson's autobiography at 6 years old. So when you did your Twitch and you was playing all these, I was like, I was in heaven. It felt like I was back in like 6 years old. So when I saw it, I was like, and then now that we're face to face, I was like, now I can get to tell you that I really enjoyed it. It was amazing. Like I was up in here with this. Like, with
like Betty Wright. Betty Wright's coming over. So you're like, let me make sure I get it.
Bro. and the way you're feeling, it made you feel so free. So I wanted to tell you thank you for that because that hit me. When she passed, that really hit me. So for you to do that and go off the way you did, I was like, thank you. So I could tell you that you got me that night, and I really want to thank you for that.
Oh man, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for telling me. Like sometimes, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. I will say, playing on Twitch has been great because I really play just stuff I want to play. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I know people want to dance, and I like dancing too. But there's stuff I play that's most people you're not going to hear or pull out. And it's been a blessing, and it's really made me think kind of differently about DJing and what it means to do that. So thank you very much for sharing that. That means that I'm going to stay on my path, and I'm going to not, because at one point I was like, maybe I should stop playing vinyl so I can play more, edit, people like like people like, let's play more edits, or like, everybody wants to hear all the, and I get it because those things are exciting and stuff like that. But then I think that there's still so much music here, you know what I mean? Like that would really resonate with people. So thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Thank you.
You were dancing too. I was like, she be getting it too.
Yeah. It's my therapy. Okay. It's my therapy.
Absolutely.
One form of therapy.
Yeah. Because actually, first time I heard you spin was I was with our friend Eric, and I remember after the first part, I was like, oh my God, who is she? Like, I was like very impressed. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Like from that day on, I started following you.
When we used to be in the club, at the spot, yes.
Yes. So speaking of that, can you tell us anything you have going on, or, anything you want the people to know about you?
Oh, sure. So I really, my baby right now is follow Your Bliss with Monday Blue on Wednesdays on twitch.tv/DJ Monday Blue. We typically start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's vinyl show and play all, I play a lot of different genres. It's an open format, but it's gonna be a lot of disco, boogie, funk, soul,
Yeah.
Just soulful music. And then the thing I really been enjoying about it is that like we do like the after hours. So we take it down tempo and get a little emo. And then we just really converse with the folks who are talking in the chat. It's like people talk about their memories, and it's really nice. It's like connecting to people. It's like a community now, right? Now we're calling it the Bliss Crew. We talked about getting like some kind of matching sweatshirts. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens, but I know, right? Like maybe a little headband. Something like a scrunchie. I'm like, oh, maybe we'll just do a headband. I don't know. But Wednesday nights, that's the spot. In real life, I'm gonna be playing now that things are opening up a little bit in New York. I'm gonna be playing some vinyl at a spot called Anytime coming up in June. But you can follow me on Instagram. Instagram.com/DJ Monday Blue is the best place to follow me. I do have, I've had a website halfway finished for so many years. So like, hopefully my Gemini will sit down and focus and get that done soon. And you can go to djmondayblue.com, but I'll announce it on my Instagram. But yeah, so follow me there in Twitch. Just follow me on Twitch. I think tomorrow night in Brooklyn, like doing an 8 p.m. to midnight set at Friends and Lovers, which is a great spot. Vinyl, I can play vinyl. So, and they still have the distancing protocols in place. But really, follow your bliss. Come follow your bliss with me. That's my heart. That's where I play my insides.
Yes. Where you get all vulnerable.
I know. Sometimes I say something like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, what? He's showing emotion. Stop it! He's showing emotion. I'm like, oh, but it is what it is. Sometimes that's how the music makes you feel. So, yeah. So thank you so much for having me. This has been a great time. I appreciate you all very, very, very much. For real. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. And if you ever, it's a album you want to talk about, or it's something we come across, and we'd love to have you back to talk. This was amazing.
I would love to come back. Yes, there's so many different things. I would love to talk about Southern hip hop at one point. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And bass music, like the Threads. That's a whole other thing. I have so many things. So yes, please have me back. We can talk. You guys are great. We can talk. Right. I love it. So whenever. We'll set it up. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in and hanging out with me and JR and DJ Monday Blue. And we'll see you on the next episode of Catch That.